Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the newest episode of the Theater Enthusiast podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. I'm very excited that they're here. I even told them I've been wanting to have them on for a while. Please welcome Austin Scott. That was,
Hey,
hey, that was such a shitty intro. I
I
apologize.
loved it. No,
Like,
it's great.
they're known for this, and they've been in this, and I was just like, he's here.
I'm so here for short, sweet, and to the point. I'm so here
Yeah.
for it.
Sweet and to the
Love
point.
it.
Well, maybe we'll just like leave the illusion of like what you've done because like we're gonna get into all of the
There you
things.
go. Or ask ChatGPT. It's out there.
Yeah,
No, don't
ChatGPT.
do that. I'm not a supporter of ChatGPT. So
Oh, I can't really attest to that because I'm working with a career coach and she's like, you should utilize ChatGPT. It's gonna help
I
you.
know. And it's not that I don't use it. I think I am afraid of AI to the point where like I don't I'm going to use it in secret, but I'm not going to publicly say that I endorse it. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense, but I'm
Well, I
gonna
also like let's talk about let's have this conversation about real
let's
things.
go.
I for me, I use it when I'm applying for jobs to like
Mm-hmm.
for resume stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I may have used ChatGPT to like turn me into like, a star from the 50s or something. But I know,
Sure.
that's when like that whole action figure thing was going crazy for a bit. And then that phased
Action
out.
figure thing.
Yeah, like where you can turn yourself into an action figure using like
Oh, yeah.
ChatGPT.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, we've been through so many weird phases already in such a short amount of time.
I know. And like Labubu's
I don't,
have
that's another
not
thing that
gone
I
away
can't,
yet.
I can't publicly endorse, but I'm aware of. I use ChatGPT. I, I find it really hard to respond to emails and texts like quickly
Hmm.
because I think when I start to sit down to write it out, I will often just like edit and re-edit in my brain and overthink what I'm saying and all that kind of stuff. And so I do occasionally lean on ChatGPT to just be like, this is what I'm trying to say. I
Yeah.
have like 5 minutes to say it, and they will put it together in a very beautiful way. And then I'll edit it a couple times. And it allows me to like not ghost people for 4 days at a time, which I think is good and healthy for my in-person relationships.
Hmm.
So for that reason, ChatGPT has a use in my life, but
Yeah.
I'm still on the fence about AI in general.
Well, two things about that. ChatGPT, I've totally used for like Bumble opening lines.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, and it's not gone well because all dating apps are terrible. But secondly, in your defense, if you have really good friends and they just know that you're terrible at texting, they'll just
Mm,
appreciate that. Like one of
that's
my
funny.
best, yeah, one of my best friends is terrible at it, and she knows it, and I know it. And I
Yeah,
jokingly say to her, I'm like, "Oh, it's nice to know you're alive. Thank you for
right.
responding to me 20 days later." So in your
Totally.
defense, like personal relationships, they should know.
Yes. Thank you for defending me. I
Of course,
appreciate that.
I get it.
I'm
Listen.
outing myself right now, though. I don't think any of my friends know that I use ChatGPT, so now they do. You're
Well,
getting the exclusive.
thank you. I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
love getting exclusives. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
let's go back. Let's go back in time, Austin. So you're
Let's
from
go.
California
I am.
and you started acting when you were a kid because there was a acting school that came about. They were looking for a kid. You sang a song and here we are years later.
Look at you, research. You done
Oh,
listen to
what?
some interviews. Look at you.
Listen, I try. I also am like really excited to talk about how you have yet to play Fiera on Broadway, having auditioned
Ha!
many times.
That is there an interesting story there? There might be. Yes. Let's
I'm
get
sure
into
there
that. Do you
is
want to
because
do you want to get into that now or do you want to
we can
should
get
we
it. What, Austin, whatever you want. Because, I feel like with a lot of people I've had on, and I've said to them before, like there's so much out there about people already that we don't have
Yeah.
to get into like everything, which I sometimes do. But I love this is also just like the theater nerd, like entertainment nerd. Like I just love knowing these things. Like what
Yeah.
shows have people auditioned for that they didn't get? Like when they cast movies and they're like, well, this person auditioned for it and they didn't get it,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. Because for me, I'm always like the person who's meant to get the role is supposed to get it. And it's
Right.
nothing against the person who didn't get it. It just wasn't in the director or casting person's mind that they're right. And who knows, maybe down the line you could play Fiero. You don't know.
Sure. Totally. You never know. That is the crazy thing about this industry.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, it's funny because I feel like before I booked Hamilton, that was like my first big commercial success.
Mhm.
Fiero and Wicked kind of was like my great white buffalo, for lack of a better term. Like I
I've
was,
heard white buffalo. I've heard
you've
white
never heard that.
whale.
So great white buffalo, I guess it's the similar thing. It's from some like Paul Rudd movie from like early 2000s. I don't even really know, to be honest, what the history behind it is. But essentially it's like it's the thing, it's the white whale. It's the thing that you have
Yeah.
been after for a long time. It's like
Austin, we
it's
can call
the
it white buffalo. It's fine.
I I'm thank you,
You're
because I
welcome.
really feel strongly about this,
White
that we call
buffalo
it white
and
buffalo.
okay with you ghosting
Thank you.
people.
I'm
Nothing
trying
but
to make white buffalo happen. I'm trying like fetch. I'm trying to make it happen. I'm trying to make it a thing.
I
Um
love you so much for that reference. Because I'm not even joking. I have said that to people and they're just like, you're a moron. It's like, how dare you?
how very dare you?
How dare
Okay. Let me stop hyping this story up like it's a big story. Let me just tell it.
it's a big
So
story for us right now.
that's right.
We
It
can call
is.
it an exclusive.
Thank you.
White
Everything is an
Buffalo
exclusive with you.
exclusive. Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting all the exclusives.
Yeah.
No, I was like 20, what, like 21, 22 the first time I auditioned for it. And I went really far. I got all the way to Stephen Schwartz, and I think I was in the top two for like the tour. And that was huge for me. That was like a really big deal. And I remember I was doing a show in Dallas at the time, when I found out that I was in the top two with Ashley Park, amongst many other people. But Ashley Park, kind of before she blew way up. And I remember I was going to her, I was like, do you think like, okay, I'm doing this show in Dallas right now. Like, do you think that going and doing Fiero would be a great next move? Just like such a little dumb kid who didn't know what he was doing. She was like, yes, Austin, that would be awesome. Go do it. I was like, thanks, Ashley Park. And somewhere in there, I got an offer for another like new musical in development. And so we went back and told the Wicked team, we were like, well, he's also up for this other thing. And so, maybe like let us know. And Wicked was like, we don't no, we're not gonna wait around while he's up for this other guy. Like there's somebody else that we like in LA. Like I think we're probably just gonna go with them. We're leaning towards him anyway. And I was like, sure, I totally understand.
Yeah.
Go for it. I'm making them sound way jerkier than they are. They're actually really lovely people, but they just were very realistic about like if he's got something else, that's totally cool. We can't hold on this until you hear about that. So we're gonna move on. Needless to say, though, I was pretty devastated. And I proceeded to, after that, go in for it, I don't know, every other year on Broadway for the next like 2 years, maybe. But it was a funny thing because, you know, Fier was supposed to feel like he doesn't know, or no, he's supposed to feel like he doesn't really care, right? Like it's like everything is just dancing through life and it's not a big deal. But every time I would go in, I cared more and more and more. So it was
Hmm.
harder and harder for me to kind of do the like, I don't really care thing.
Hmm.
And so I developed like not a complex, that's a big that's a big word, but it became like tougher for me to audition for it because I would get in my head about it. And that's kind of my Fierro story. I've never played him. The last time I auditioned was probably 7 years ago. So who knows, maybe one day now I will go in and it'll be a different story. But it
Or
was kind of a thing for me for a while.
dare I say direct offer?
I mean, listen, I don't know.
We've had some Broadway and tours and things
Some
under
things
our
have
belt.
changed. Yeah, some things have changed in the last
We
7 years.
originated a Broadway role,
We did.
which ironically was the last show I saw on Broadway before the pandemic.
That does not surprise me because we opened, I want to say 4 days before
Mhm.
Broadway shut down. So it was many people's last
Yeah.
last show.
Yeah. For those listening, it's Girl from the North Country.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my computer camera like there's people there, but you know what? That's what's called on-camera acting.
That's exactly right.
Thank
That's
you.
exactly right.
I
And
take
also
that.
that means you've watched The Office as much as the rest of us have. So that's good.
Oh, I have a Dwight bobblehead over there. My friend
Obsessed.
got me a framed That's What She Said, and the frame broke, so I just have the paper over there. I'm very
Hmm.
famous for saying That's What She Said all the time, even when it
Fantastic.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's the best time to say it.
Yeah, I only watched one episode of The Paper though, so I do
I
need
was
to.
going to ask you how you're feeling about the paper if you've been
Have you
watching it.
watched the whole thing?
Not the whole thing. I think I'm on episode 7. I am honestly enjoying it. My wife and I are very much enjoying it.
Yeah.
Our expectations were low because how do you follow The
Yeah.
Office? I think for the most part they're doing a really good job.
Yeah. I
I'm
was
going to say that.
Oh, excuse me, I'm verklempt. I'm
Oh,
so excited we're talking about
of
The Office
course.
now. No, I only watched the first episode because I've just been quite frankly so busy that I don't have a day off until Friday.
There you
Um
go. You're
yeah,
fancy. You got things to do.
no, I got two part-time jobs trying to make it work. But um no, I just haven't had time to like sit down and watch it. But I just thought what they
Sure.
did with the first episode was kind of how they set it up to like why Oscar is at this new location.
Mm,
And also like what happened to Dunder Mifflin to kind of
yeah.
like end up following these new people. And then I saw on Instagram that they're actually going to air the paper on NBC in November,
Oh,
which is pretty cool.
interesting. That is
Yeah,
very cool.
yeah,
I'm here for it. I'm here
yeah.
for it.
And
I
they
think
already got a second season.
amazing. No,
Yeah.
they're doing a great job. And like honestly, every one of those actors, I don't think no, I did not audition for it, but I have so much respect for every one of those actors because what a mammoth undertaking to be like following in the footsteps of all of those iconic characters. Like that's crazy. And yet they all come across so confident and calm and like I have a lot of respect for
So
the makers of that show.
let's talk about The Office really quickly. Do you feel like
Yeah.
everybody else, once Michael Scott left season seven, it went
Hmm.
downhill?
That's such a loaded question. God, it's so early in the conversation to ask something like that. Um,
You want me to make it more lighthearted and like ask
no,
again?
it's fine. I don't, I mean, yes, it went downhill,
Hmm.
but I also think Andy Bernard did really well. I think he carried the mantle as best he could. I think his character just wasn't as interesting as Michael Scott. You know what I mean? And I think that's hard to carry the mantle forward. But yeah, I don't think anybody can honestly say it didn't go downhill, but I still enjoyed watching it. I
Yeah.
still enjoyed watching it.
I really wish they just did like 10 seasons. So it was like a nice even 10 as opposed to
Yeah,
just nine. But I
sure.
understood that they're just like, we knew it was time.
Yeah. I also wouldn't have been mad at the Dwight spinoff. I know that got killed. I would have been into it, you know?
Yeah.
I think that would have been very, very cool, but I understand. That's
Yeah.
not how corporations work.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I'm trying to figure out like how to transition into stuff. So you did something called Hood. I really want to talk about Hood because I feel like this show has been around forever and nobody ever talks about it.
Okay, say it one more time. You broke up for a second, but
Okay, sorry. Yeah, you
I'm
froze.
with you now.
My internet connection is unstable. Well, hopefully not
Aren't we all? Aren't we
I
all
mean,
unstable?
I
Just a
will
little bit.
say, please, if my internet does go out, just stay on and come back because that happened to me once and I had like such a mild panic during it and it
Sure.
went really well.
Sure.
Anyway, let's go back. I want to talk
Let's
about
go
Hood,
back.
Douglas Carter Bean. Because
Hood. Oh my God.
yeah, because the show, I've known about the show for years. It's been around
Hmm.
forever. Half expected it to come to Broadway. It never did. So I would love to talk to you about your experience working on that show.
Sure.
Because
That is
it's
actually the show with you probably know this, but that's the show I was talking about with Ashley Park.
Oh, wow.
That was the
Which,
one
by
I
the
was
way,
doing.
I don't feel like enough people know that Ashley Park was in Mamma Mia, and I just feel like that needs to be public knowledge.
That's 100, but yes, use your pedestal, use your platform, and shout it from the rooftops. It's
Lest we
important
forget,
knowledge.
Ashley Park was in Mamma Mia. And I know this
Yes.
because my old merch company I worked for had Mamma Mia, and I worked it many times. And she
So
was in,
you know,
oh, I
she
know.
was indeed in it.
She was. She was one of Sophie's friends.
There you go.
Yeah. So Hood with Ashley Park. And you
Yes,
were, do I Fiero? Do I not Fiero?
that's exactly right.
Fiero. But I mean, I think it worked out, and you got Hamilton.
It did. No, it definitely all worked out. But it was some drama at that young early part of my career.
Mhm.
Hood was great. Hood was very interesting. It was one of my no, I mean it wasn't one of my very first like new works that I worked on, but it felt like a big deal because I was a huge fan of To Wong Fu with Love, which was
Mhm.
um Douglas Carter Bean's movie with Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes. And so it was a big deal for me to work with him. And he's great. He and his husband, Lewis Flynn, who did the music, very, very passionate, um, very eccentric in the best ways.
Mm.
And that show was wonderful and kind of like a fever dream and just wild because the whole, I mean, without telling too much, but it's been out there. The premise is like we're kind of like, Shakespearean players almost telling the story of this show. So we're making our own costumes. So all the costumes were made of like toy cars and toy soldiers and like bottle caps. And like it was so cool. And I learned how to play, I learned how to sword fight with an actual broadsword, which was so incredibly dangerous. I stabbed Nicholas Bailey, who played Robin Hood. I played Sheriff of Nottingham. He played Robin Hood. I stabbed him in the eye.
Ooh.
I stabbed him in the actual eye. And I will never forget, this is such a tangent, but the day that it happened, I went back into the dressing room and Alicia Umphris was in there, who's another awesome performer. And this was right around the time that the first season of Handmaid's Tale had just come out. And
Oh,
so she asked me, she's like, where did you stab him? And I said, under his eye. And she said, may the Lord open. Which, if you've watched Handmaid's Tale, that makes more sense to you. Those are lines from Handmaid's Tale. But anyway, I stabbed him in the eye. I also nearly broke two of my fingers sword fighting. There's videos out this like we were going for it. We were like, I think sparks were flying. I had this anxiety every show that I was going to somehow swing the sword and like let go of it and it was going to fly out of my hands and impale somebody in the audience. That was like a reoccurring nightmare for me. So that's working on it. And I had dreadlocks down to my
oh.
like belly button, which was so dope and took like 30 minutes to put in every show. And yeah, as far as I know, I've talked with Douglas a couple of different times about coming back and working on it again. They're still doing workshops and stuff of it. I've never been available when they're doing it, sadly. But I think it's a really cool show, and I hope it comes
Yeah.
someday.
Well, I mean, I love how you said you learned how to sword fight with this actual sword because you have talked about not studying at, a conservatory and your
Hmm.
learning of acting is on the job.
Hmm.
So that's just throwing it out there for the kids
Yeah,
listening that,
that's right.
everybody's path is different. But you did go to San Francisco State University.
I bounced around so much. I
Okay.
did. I went there for a year, did some undergrad. Then I moved to LA and I bounced between like seven different city colleges. And then I ended up at Cal State Northridge taking online courses, which I continue to do
Mhm.
technically to this day. I have not actually graduated college yet. I have one course left, but I would do a course and then I would book something and then I would drop out of that course and beg my teachers to like give me an incomplete or like a passing grade if I had done enough of the course. And I've just been inching my way through college that way for the past 10 years.
So 10 years later and one course left, what is your degree going to be in?
Interdisciplinary studies with an emphasis in creative writing.
Wow. And what would one like to do with that?
You know what? I have no idea. I
Love
I
that.
promised my dad that I would finish college.
Mhm.
And so that is primarily what I'm doing with that degree. But I do hope that maybe one day, I don't know, maybe one day the creative writing will help me actually write something because the amount of times I've sat down to like write a project or worked with a friend and been like, yeah, we have this awesome idea, let's do it. Um, my like marketing jaded artist brain always kicks in and is just like, yeah, but who are you going to sell this to? Who's going to buy this? Who's going to produce this? Blah, 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 blah.
You know what, Austin? I'm going to say it for you. Yourself. You do
I
it
know.
yourself. Look
I
at
know.
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. I
That's
mean,
right.
and listen, you have enough experience to do it. You've been on the sets. You know what's up.
It is kind of ridiculous that I don't, it is fully a mental block at this point because I know I have all the connections and experience and stuff to start producing my own thing and you know what, Allison, damn it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
I
after we
did a
finish this
pin drop.
call. Yes, you
I would,
did.
and you can be like, I didn't even use ChatGPT for it.
That's right. I will not ever
I
use
only
Chat
use it for
GPT. I'm
email
waiting.
and text message.
That's right. No, that is I'm not going to get up on my high horse, but that is the one thing I will never use ChatGPT for is anything creative because that is my biggest fear
Yeah.
about it is that it's going to take away from artists. That is just ridiculous.
Well, there's
But
so much
yes.
out about ChatGPT and how it's ruining the arts and all that stuff. I mean,
Hmm.
we can have a whole other podcast episode about that, but we're not
Absolutely.
going to because we're here to
No,
talk about you, Austin.
that's right.
Now, let's talk about Hamilton because
Yeah.
it was a very big thing in your life. You've discussed that you've auditioned for all different parts in Hamilton, and they're like,
Hmm.
maybe you should come in for, for actually playing Hamilton.
Hmm.
So I'm curious to know because there's been a lot out there about it, and I would love to talk more about your experience with it. But before I forget to ask, if they were to call you and say, "Hey, Austin, we want you back in the show, but we want you to play a different character," what character would that be?
Um,
Or you can do the Chicago thing where like BB Newirth has played like all three of the women,
mhm.
and like you can do that eventually. But if they were to call you like after this interview was over, who would you?
Well, so what I'm pausing about is I'm trying to figure out what I can say and what I cannot say. This is not an exclusive of like something that's happening, but I think I can say this. So I we recently had the 10-year anniversary and
Mhm.
I went back. Who's on your mug? You just took a sip and I want to
Oh
know
yeah,
who.
this is the Hot Priest
Amazing. Oh, from
from Fleabag, and it says Neil
yes,
on the back.
amazing.
Andrew
That
Scott has always been a presence on this podcast and
as
his
well he
hot
should.
briefness. And every time I'm in my apartment recording, because there have been times where I've been at my dad's house, this is the mug I drink out of.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. There is a Hamilton fan listening to this right now who's saying, like, what were you gonna say? You said you're trying to figure out what you can't say, and then you just
Maybe we
cut it
should,
off to talk about hot breeze.
we can always talk about Hot Priest, but imagine Hot Priest as Hamilton. That
Yes, imagine. Oh, can you imagine? Andrew
Andrew
Scott can
Scott.
play anything.
I feel like he'd be a
Anything.
really good Burr, though.
Yeah, I think he would. I really think he could play anything. He would be an amazing king. He would be an amazing Burr.
Oh, he would
Yeah,
be great.
but
Yeah.
he would be an
Also,
amazing
I
king.
saw him in Vanya, so now Sign Playbill lives over there.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, let me say this.
So, yeah, sorry, Hamilton fan. 10-year anniversary of Hamilton.
We're getting back into it. I
Yeah.
went to the 10-year anniversary of Hamilton and was just like, listen, I had a wonderful experience in Hamilton. I did have an incredible amount of anxiety, which we can also get into because that seems to be the theme of this interview. But I had a really great time in Hamilton. But going back there and seeing everybody and just, spending more time with just all the folks who I've done it with over the years and like experiencing the audience and how much they loved the show made me go like I kind of want to go back. Like I would totally do like 6 months or whatever of this. Like, let's just kind of see what's going on. So we reached out to them
Hmm.
and they said, we have been trying to get you to come in for Burr for like the longest time. And I was not aware of this. Like some things just get like lost in communication. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, like that's the one role I've never auditioned for. And I always thought, that I could be really, really cool. So I did, I spent like a week on it and really got into it, which was such a mind freak to like play to get behind and try to internalize the complete opposite side of the coin that I did for 2 years.
Hmm.
But I had a lot of fun with it, and I went in and did a bunch of songs, and Lack was there, and PV Patrick Vassell, who's the associate director, and we had a great time. And I left just being like, that was enough. Like
Hmm.
that was just so fun to do it. And then I heard from them later that they're like, all they could see was Hamilton. They were just like, he is so clearly Hamilton. So someday we're gonna ask him to come back and do Hamilton. So I'm like, okay, cool. But the thing with that is it's always about once you've done a thing
Hmm.
and had a connection with it, it all just comes down to like scheduling and
Hmm.
timing and placement and all that kind of stuff. So I love them so much. I would absolutely go back someday if it ever made sense. But also I had a really lovely 2 years with them and that, changed my life.
Yeah, I do. So the new merch company I work for does merch at Hamilton. So last time
Mm,
I was there, I did like sneak upstairs and I
mm,
watched like a couple of songs of Leslie
hmm.
doing it. I was like, "Ugh, this is just, and I get to see it for free."
Yeah, he is iconic. My God, so many of them are. Lightning struck like 17 times with that show.
Yeah.
It's
And
amazing.
I was there the afternoon of the 10th anniversary for the fan performance. So I
Mm,
have my photos with the Lynn Wax figure.
nice.
And I did say to people, I'm like, this is probably the closest I'm ever going to get to meeting him.
Mm,
I might as well take advantage of it.
there you
I
go.
did.
There you go.
Yeah, so you talked about with on tour how the houses are so much bigger and then
Yeah,
coming to the Broadway theater how houses are smaller.
yeah.
And for me, I'm curious to know living your life on the tour compared to Broadway. And you talked about how you stayed healthy, able to perform. Did anything change from the tour to Broadway in preparation for the role in your daily life doing it?
Man, that's a great question. I don't know that much changed. I think I just wasn't sure what to expect. I mean, after a year on tour, the different climates, the different elevations, having to use oxygen tanks off stage in Denver because the altitude was so high, like that was wild. So I felt like by the end of tour, I had such a rock solid regiment, like health regiment, self-care regiment in place that I kind of felt like I could handle anything. But what I had been hearing from friends who had already done the Broadway company was that the biggest difference is just it's much more like Groundhog Day than on tour, because on tour, like you said,
Mhm.
every city is different, every house is different, the energies are different. But coming in to do it on Broadway, you kind of get more or less the same thing every night. You've got the same kind of mix of people coming from all over the world to come see the show, and it's the same house. And so I think I was just trying to prepare myself for like, how am I going to keep this exciting and fresh every night for me, and not just turn it into something where I'm coming and clocking in and clocking out, because I wanted to stay present. But beyond that, I think I kind of just kept up the same stuff, slept as much as I could, hydration, all the boring stuff.
Mhm.
We had an amazing PT on both tour and
Mhm.
Broadway, but I got really close with our guy Rich Malonga on Broadway, who just my body was constantly falling apart in that show because of a million different things, and he really kept me together. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you feel like your improv and your hip hop rap background in middle school and high school helped you with Hamilton?
look at you. Yeah, for sure. I think for sure. I don't know so much about the improv. The improv helped me more for like uh I don't know, and Juliet, for instance, playing Shakespeare and Juliet. But I think the hip hop was 1000%. Like when Hamilton came out, I knew, I was like, you telling me there's a musical theater show that's all about rap? Like how many musical theater kids were in a rap group in
Yeah.
high school? Like how many? I don't know how many, but I feel like I must be one of the few. So I always felt like that was going to be a strong a leg up for me. But man, I mean, some of the people that I have worked with over the years in Hamilton, like they are like rappers. Like they're hip hop heads. They know the history inside and out. I was never that. I was kind of like a Will Smith rapper. Not to say he doesn't know about the hip
Well,
hop like
he's a
history.
clean rapper. He's always said,
Exactly.
you're not going to hear me cursing in my rap.
Exactly. Exactly. And which I kind of get from me even in this interview, because I said mind freak because I have such an I can't bring myself to curse on an interview. But
Well, you can curse, you're allowed, but I
I know you have
understand.
you have given me it's just so deeply ingrained in
Listen, you
my
can, if you also want to bring a cocktail on, that's fine. I
yeah,
interviewed somebody once and they had a glass of wine with them.
yeah.
It was probably the best thing I'd ever seen.
I
And
love it.
then at the end, he's like, "Oh, I should have asked you if it was okay." I was like, "Honestly, it was great."
It was great.
Great.
I wish I could take a shot right now. And you know what? I'm gonna do this right now, exclusive.
Mhm.
Shit, Allison.
Oh my God. Well, I do ask you later what your favorite curse word is, so don't worry. You will get the chance again.
You get the chance again. But no, that's great. That's very cathartic. to let me do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime,
Um,
just randomly, you know what? I need to do this again.
I
Shit.
need to do this again. Shit, Allison. What
Shit.
was I even talking about? I was saying,
We were talking about Will Smith not cursing in his
oh
rap.
yes,
Yeah.
I in high school, so I was very like a la Will Smith, which just means, yeah, it was very family friendly,
Hmm.
kind of a more narrow, I think,
Hmm.
lane of rap. But getting into the show, like I met people who just knew every single reference that Lynn and Lack and them had put in, and I learned a lot just by doing the show. But yes, I do think it helped me
Yeah.
for sure.
So let's talk about Girl from the North Country
Yeah,
originating a role on Broadway. They filmed it too, right? Your
they
production.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out 3 months ago, I think, on PBS. It was the PBS
Oh,
Great
yeah.
Performances thing.
Yeah. I do remember you and Mare being my two favorite performers in the show.
Oh,
I
thank
will say
you.
that. You're welcome. That's why I was like, who was this person?
Hmm.
Why are they so great? One day I will hopefully interview them. Here we are.
And here we are.
Here we are. Well, shit. Anyway,
Well,
so
shit.
let's talk about that. How did that audition come to you? What was that audition process like?
Yeah, I auditioned for
Familiar
that
with
while
the
I was
music
doing,
of Bob Dylan?
say again.
Were you familiar with all of the Bob Dylan?
Oh man, the amount of times that I was asked that question in the press for
So
the
then I
show.
so then I take it all back and I
No,
don't answer
it's
it.
it's a great. I will not answer it. No, it's a great question. I say that because the amount of times I was asked and then subsequently had to say that no, I was not familiar with Bob Dylan as I was doing his show was just unfortunate. But
Was it
no, I
hard?
knew
Did you just
I
like didn't
knew
know?
I knew of him.
Mm-hmm.
I knew of him. I knew my parents raised me primarily on like Michael Jackson and Motown. So like I wasn't as much of like a
And
folksy
let's not forget Will Smith.
and Will Smith,
And Will
lest we
Smith.
forget,
Lest we
lest we
forget.
forget Will Smith. Oh, I mean, that's a whole other tangent that I could go down, but he was my idol for the longest time. And I got to meet him as a young child, but I'll tell you that later.
Yeah.
Um, I I was familiar with Bob Dylan. I knew, like a Rolling Stone,
Hmm.
I knew of him. But as soon as I got the show, that's when I really dove in and realized what a just influential figure he was in
Hmm.
so many respects. Um, like civil rights icon. But I auditioned for that show while I was doing Hamilton. It was in between a two-show day on like a Saturday was the first time I went in, and I did not audition much while I was in Hamilton because it really took all of my energy. I think I did maybe like I did pose while I was in Hamilton and maybe one or two other things, but for the most part, I really didn't audition much.
Oh no,
So
I
this was,
remember that announcement of you going into Pose.
do you?
Oh, I do. I'm like, this guy who's playing Ham Austin Scott is going to be in Pose. And I remember the episode because I watched it.
There you go. Because I watched it.
I was there. I was somewhere in my apartment watching it.
Wow.
And you got to like MJ Rodriguez or Michaela.
Yeah.
Is it Michaela?
No, she
Or,
still goes by MJ.
oh,
And
okay.
she was a friend of mine before that, which was just so fun. It was one of the reasons why I wanted to do it too.
Have you
Um,
seen the show that she's doing with Maya Rudolph, Lute, on Apple TV?
yes, I have.
My
It's
God,
awesome.
she's
It's so
incredible.
good. Yeah,
She needs to
she's
come to Broadway and everything.
well, she's doing well, no, now I think she's a producer on it, but she and I did a workshop of a show called Saturday Church.
Mm.
I believe I might be messing that up, but which is just good, which is up on Broadway, off Broadway right now. But I don't think she's in it anymore, at least not right now. She's a producer, but it's a really great show. And I was so excited to be doing that with her because, yes, I too think that she should be on Broadway.
Mhm.
Um,
But anyway,
but anyway, I'm trying to go back through the different threads.
yeah, so it was
Yes,
a
I did
Saturday.
pose.
I remember well, it
Yes,
was a Saturday. It was a two-show day
yes, she's
in
smoking
between
for the
my fake.
audience.
I don't even smoke, but I always do the fake cigarette.
I love it.
Yeah.
It was between shows. I went in, I was exhausted, but it kind of worked for the character because for those who have seen it, Joe Scott is, down on his luck and is possibly escaped from prison. We never actually say for sure, but potentially. And very tired and very haggard. So I just used it, baby. I just used it. I used my two-show day tiredness and apparently went really well because it Connor was happy with what I did, and I came back in, I think, the following Saturday for one more callback, and I got the offer. And it was right around the time when I was renegotiating for my third year in Hamilton. And I was very tired. I was very, very tired. I loved the show. I loved the character Hamilton, but between the anxiety and just the marathon of playing that role 7 shows a week, I was ready for a break. So I decided to not re-sign for a third year, and I went to do Girl from the North Country, and then we closed after 4 days on Broadway.
And you
But then
reopen.
we reopened 4 more
Yeah.
times, so that's
Yeah.
it's fine.
I'm curious to know because you've spoken about the song that you sing. And Bob Dylan wrote it about a black boxer who was wrongly convicted of murder.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
reopened after the whole Black Lives Matter and
Yeah.
all of this stuff going on in the country. And you've talked about how it's changed, like your
Hmm.
performance. How do you think the show itself also changed after the pandemic?
Hmm. We had so many meetings about this when we reopened, and this was when we started doing DEI workshops and all of that. There was just so much had come
Hmm.
from that period and from the pandemic and from George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and all of that. I think the show changed in so much as the cast changed and our conversations about these characters and the story we were telling changed. And um, I think, one of the central like tenets of the show or whatever was about community and belonging, and how all of these disparate people could come together and kind of be isolated in this space together and find and connect through
Hmm.
their commonalities and all of that kind of stuff. And I think that was only more potent coming out of lockdown, us all being kind of sequestered in our different ways and stuff. So I think that took on a more resonant tone, but I think also the show just got darker, which might be part of why we had such incredible momentum and reviews when we first opened pre-pandemic. And then when we came back, we just really struggled to recapture that. And I think a lot of that came down to the show was already dark before inherently, but I think we all were carrying so much grief and trauma and just you name it. We were coming into it so loaded, which I think made the characters and the story all the more resonant. But I think it also just audiences were not looking for that coming out of the pandemic. They were looking for bright, shiny, fun dance, like distract. You know what I mean? Like not let's not dive back in and process all our really
Yeah.
difficult emotions.
Yeah.
So I think that was part of
Well, I
the
mean,
shift.
at
But
least your character has a happy ending.
ish.
Well, I mean, compared to most of the a friend
As
of
far as
mine,
anybody in that show had a
yeah,
happy ending.
a
Yeah.
friend of mine explained the show to me before I saw it as is it's they said it's like taking Death of a Salesman
Mm,
and staging it like the musical once.
yeah.
That is
Sure.
what Girl from North Country is.
Sure.
And I was
Wow.
like,
He should have
great.
been on our marketing team.
Hey, you want to do Death of a Salesman, but like once the
Stage like
musical,
once.
stage
I
like
love
one,
it.
the Tony winning musical once. But I will say, girl, I remember Girl from North Country being in London and it being a huge hit
Mm,
there, and then them bringing it to New York. And I was like, it's going to be a big hit because it was huge off Broadway, and then
yeah.
they brought it to Broadway.
Yeah.
But I think it also has a life of its kind of a life of its own now, and it lives on through the cast album, through the
Yeah.
PBS. And I remember a couple of years ago, they announced that they're also turning it into a movie, but there hasn't
Yes.
really been like much about it since they announced it.
Yeah.
And I'm
I
not gonna lie, I forgot they were turning it into a movie until I was doing my research on you, and I
and then
Googled
you
Girl
found
from
out.
the North Country,
Yeah.
and I was
What
like,
did you see about who was cast in that? Again, I'm trying to figure out what I can say and what I
Olivia
can't say.
Colman,
Yeah, okay, so that was public knowledge. Yeah, it was so exciting.
not you,
Not me. No, I don't think.
someone else. And
Someone else. I
no,
think
I
Woody
just,
Harrelson
oh yeah, I was like,
was in
oh
it.
yeah, Olivia Colman. It's still there on IMDb.
It was an amazing cast. Yeah, I don't fully know what happened with that because it was a different set of producers that was doing the movie and stuff like that. So the only real person who was attached to that that we knew, that we being the Broadway company knew of, was Connor McPherson. So it kind of was its own whole separate thing, which was a reason why they didn't bring any of us back into it. But when I heard that cast list, I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
And I still hope that someday it gets made.
Yeah. Well, I will say that's also the thing too, and I find it interesting, and I understand this being a huge theater Broadway nerd fan that I
Mm,
that when they're like, okay, we're going to take this show and we're going to turn it into a movie musical, and like 99.9% of the time, they don't use the original cast.
yeah.
And people are, and I don't think a lot of people understand it's like, well, they need to sell the movie. And so if you don't have like a quote unquote name, because I remember there was all
Oh,
of that
yeah.
controversy going around about the prom.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why would they cast these people? And I even had a
Yeah.
conversation with Beth Level when she was on the podcast. She's like, look, I get it,
I love
you
Beth
know?
Level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a queen amongst queens. I have
Yes.
very, very big reactions to things. So when I
Mm.
found out she agreed to do my podcast, I may or may not have fallen to the floor and rolled around a little bit. It's fine.
That's the only rational response to having
I,
Beth Level on your podcast.
well, shit, thank you.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. No, she was another one. I told you before this that I've had several friends on your show, and I forgot Beth was one of them.
Should
Yeah,
we just
Beth
like name
is.
drop more people?
Should we just name drop everybody that
Everyone?
we have
Well,
ever worked with?
it's so funny too because it's kind of, I'm sure you feel this way, like you're working on something and you're in the bubble of it and you don't realize what it is to other people
Totally.
until like you're in it. So, yes, I've had quote unquote big names, people love them. And to me, it's just like people I'm fans of who I want to interview. And I've had great times interviewing them. And I've had friends
Sure.
be like, you've had some like really big people on your podcast. I was like,
Yeah.
have I know I have, but like, really? That's small. But again,
You
it's
have.
because I'm in the bubble of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the pandemic like for you? How did you stay creative during that?
Oh man. So my wife and I fled New York City up to Vermont, South Burlington, Vermont, and we lived with my wife's parents, my in-laws, for a whole year because they had this little like cabin, like barn loft thing separate from their house that we were able to stay in. But man, it was tough. It was a tough year because, I had just started really building up this momentum in my career. And suddenly just the light switch was off and I was feeling like how can I find a way to kind of stay in the mix and keep working and keep, whatever. So I was doing um a lot of corporate performances. I sang My Shot and Dear Theodosia like way more times than anybody should, and was gifted so many wonderful things from Logitech and all these cool companies. So that was fun and made me feel like I was doing something. But I was teaching a lot. That was the year that I started teaching. I was doing a bunch of Zoom workshops and one-on-one coachings and all that. And that was really fun. I really enjoyed that. Um, I was doing a bunch of performances with my wife for you name it. Again, a lot of corporate things and Stephen Sondheim. Like, was that it? I think no, 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 not Stephen Sondheim. It was
Well, I know that they did like a virtual like Stephen Sondheim celebration with like
they
Broadway
did that.
decorations and thing.
That
Yeah.
I don't think that's what I'm thinking of. There was some other really prolific Broadway composer who has a YouTube channel, and we sang something for their channel. The point is we just like we hoed ourselves out quite a bit in every way that we could,
Yeah.
because it just felt good to keep performing.
Yeah. I directed a bunch of virtual play readings during the pandemic, and it was
Hmm.
a lot of, I remember one particular show I directed. I did what was it? It was called The Understudy.
Mm,
One of the actors in the show during the read through just had all of this like pent up energy that he was
yeah,
using. Like he threw himself off of a chair, moved his camera
yeah,
down, and they were just like, we are just sitting at home, like itching to perform,
yeah.
to get
There
this
was there
opportunity.
was a lot there was a lot of that. I remember a lot of a lot of readings of new work and stuff like that. And yeah, all of us just bouncing around in our little squares and just having so much energy. But
Yeah.
that also was, I know we're talking about theater on here, but just a really quick film thing aside,
We
the
listen, even though it is a theater podcast, I am again, large theater, like large entertainment knowledge base. We are going to talk
sure.
about Clipped.
Oh my God. Of all the things we're talking about clipped.
We're gonna talk about Clipped.
But
And we
yes,
already
that is
talked
a
about
thing.
Pose, and we're going to talk about Jazzman, what is it? A Jazzman's
That's
Blues.
true.
Don't worry.
Jazzman's Blues. So yeah, so
But
I
we're
will then
going in
just
order of
mention,
things.
of course, of course. Well, and so in for the sake of going in orders of things,
Mhm.
um my savior in
Mhm.
the pandemic was Tyler Perry because he swung in, I don't know, like 8 months in or something like that, and he slid into my DMs and was like, hey, I'm working on this film, Jazzman's Blues, and I would love to talk to you about it. I didn't believe that it was Tyler Perry because I was like, why are you texting me in my DMs? Like, you know, would that actually happen? And then sure enough, I talked to him the next day and it was him.
Mhm.
But I am so grateful for that because that was my first big studio film. And while we were working on that, somebody um dropped out of his TV show, one of his TV shows called Sistas, because he couldn't get his visa because he was coming from England. And so that started this, like, I've done now 61 episodes of this TV show called Sistas and have had a great time because they let me come and shoot for 2 days on my off days from a show and do like 13 episodes and then go back. And so I'm very grateful for for uh, for that because he plucked me out of the pandemic and gave me a job when it
Yeah.
was very hard to find a job.
Yeah, and he's known for filming very quickly at like all
He
different
is.
angles and cameras. And
Yes,
did you film in Atlanta?
I
Like
did. Yeah, we
in a studio in
for
Atlanta?
Sisters is filmed almost exclusively on his studio.
Mhm.
And then Jazzman's Blues was all over Georgia, Savannah, and yeah, we bounced all around for that.
So now that we like covered that part, we still need to go
Mhm.
back to Anne Juliet. But I want to talk to you about Clipped. I watched it.
Wow, love it.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, it's awesome.
With red hair and freckles and no
I
beard.
know. I was like, oh my God, look at that. And honestly, I was trying to remember who played Donald Sterling. And I was like, it's not John Lithgow, but I know it's like one of those older
No,
actors.
but it's
But then I
him.
like
Yeah.
looked at this morning and I was like, oh, okay. Ed O'Neill, I feel better.
Yes,
But, like
yes.
you had what's her face who played his wife, and I can't think of her name right now. And she has an
Oh, I'm trying. I wanted to say Shelley. Yeah, Jackie Weaver.
yeah. I mean,
Mhm. Amazing, phenomenal. And Lawrence Fishburne, are you kidding me? It was,
I
it
mean,
was, an,
come
and
on.
then J. Alphonse Nicholson. Like it was an amazing cast. And
I like how you laughed that I
yeah.
watched it. Why? Did something?
Why do I laugh that you watched that? That is a good question. Because a lot of people watched it.
Yeah.
I laugh because I don't know. That was such a funny time in my life
Hmm.
when I did that. Like partly because of just like, yeah, I was playing Blake Griffin, which was like plot twist of the century. And, I
I'm not
was,
gonna lie, I'm not a sports person. Like if
mhm,
unless they're like a really well-known sports person, like I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but I know who Travis Kelce is because of her.
sure. Yeah,
Like if I fell on top of him, I would know who that is, and like Derek
sure.
Jeter. But like
Yeah.
a majority, like 99% of people, if I fell on
Yeah.
him, I wouldn't know. But Blake Griffin, I know because he dated a Kardashian or
That's how,
Jenner.
yep, that's how a lot of people know him
Yeah.
who are not big basketball fans. But no, it was a funny process because, we just were really finding that show as we went along. And I think we found something really, really cool.
Mhm.
And then it came out and, the sports fans kind of tore it apart largely because of uh all the actors who were playing all of these known people, which is very common when you're trying to play a
Mhm.
real person, but especially I think with like the sports or video game communities, like they're especially
Mhm.
harsh critics. But I think that's part of why I laugh, just because it was like, I had a great time doing it. It
Mhm.
was it was wild, and like I gained 20 pounds of muscle in like 2 months, I think, for that. I was working with a personal trainer to beef me up. And yeah, they bleached my hair like 7 times, so much so that like it took me, I think, a year to get back to my normal hair color. And um, it was just a really interesting experience.
Yeah.
And so when I hear that people watch that, it feels a little bit like people saying, I saw you, I saw you singing Mariah Carey in your bedroom last Saturday night.
I
Like it
actually
feels,
I didn't, but I heard about it.
did you hear about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it got out pretty quick. There was somebody in the bushes. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's that kind of a thing. It somehow feels like this intimate thing where like I was trying out a lot of new stuff and it was just this very, and then like to know that it got out there into the world and people saw it and had opinions on it just feels vulnerable in a very interesting way. But thank you for,
Well, I enjoyed it. I remember I'm like, oh, it's on. I'm gonna watch it now every week.
I love it.
One of those Hulu shows I watched.
I love it.
Um, I'm gonna ask a very cliche question though, because
Yeah.
I'm curious, so I'm gonna ask it. Playing a real person who is
Yeah.
still alive, unlike Hamilton, because we don't I know you read the books and all that stuff, so
Hmm.
that's fine. But what was it like playing Blake Griffin? Like, did you do any research for it? Again, I know this is very cliche.
No, it's
Ask it.
great and it's a great question.
Mhm,
I did a ton of research
mhm,
and I was gonna go meet him, and then we got formally asked by I think the network to not connect with our counterparts. I think partially just because it was a very it was a very fraught time in their it was just a very fraught time for everybody involved in that whole kind of
yeah.
scandal. And so I think they didn't want us they had a story that they wanted to tell. And I think they knew if we went and talked to all of the real people, then maybe it would be difficult to come together and tell a uniform story. I'm not entirely sure. But so I didn't end up meeting with him. And then we kind of we all came to set and we had like our first read through of the whole thing. And I just remember like a lot of us were doing voices and trying to like kind of lean into imitations and all of this kind of stuff. And I just remember after that table read, a number of us I think got sat down and were just like, or I think there was like a blast, an email blast, and they were just like, let's not do voices. Let's let's focus on just the what they were feeling inside rather than trying to emulate. And
Mhm.
but then that kind of went back and forth as we were filming, so there's some episodes where I think people are doing a bit more of an impersonation than others. But it was daunting. It was daunting. It was my first time playing someone who was still alive, and I was very in my head about it for a while, just like how I wanted to approach that, for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's bring it back to the Broadway and playing other
Yeah.
people who are well known, but unfortunately no longer with us. Let's talk about
Yeah.
Anne Juliet.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about your fun interpretation of the William of the Shakespeare.
So fun. So
Yeah.
fun.
I mean, it's not every day you hear William Shakespeare sing some Backstreet Boys, you
It's
know?
very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
So, yeah, you went in and you replaced the original. I mean, because you've replaced
Hmm.
Hamilton, but this was a little bit different because you were
Yeah.
replacing the original guy.
Right.
No, wait.
Right.
Were you replaced Dark Sands first?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
replaced Roxanne. So I was the second Shakespeare on
Yeah.
Broadway,
Sorry,
whereas
because
with
I read
Hamilton,
something somewhere and it was like, and then it just came into my brain. But yes, you replaced Dark
yes.
Sands. I take everything
Yes.
back. You did that. What was that
I
like?
did. What was that like?
What was that
That
like?
was fun. The opportunity to be in the show came up as I think I was developing another show at the time, and then the writer's strike happened. And I was like, I have a feeling, I was talking to my agents and stuff. I was like, I have a feeling that we're not going to be able to work for a while. So I'm like, what's going on? What's out there? And then it came up that Anne Juliet was going to be looking for a new Shakespeare. And so I went to see the show and pretty much immediately fell in love. Like,
Yeah.
I think the moment that really got me was the boy band number. I'll leave it at that for anybody who at this point hasn't seen. If you haven't seen Anne Juliet by now, what are you doing? Get out
Right.
and see it. But anyway, there is a moment in the second act that is just amazing. And I saw that and I was like, oh, I have to do this. And I really haven't had a chance before that to do much comedy since high school, since my improv days and stuff like that. So I had a blast. I had a lot of fun. It was just it was amazing to sing all these hits that I loved from when I was a kid and to work with that cast was so young and fresh and new and unjaded in so many ways. And that was just really, really refreshing
Mhm.
coming out of, opening and closing Girl from the North Country 4 times and going through a pandemic and all that. It was nice to just do something that was light and making people laugh and working with all of them, but working with Betsy Wolf was just wild because she is just an icon on the stage and working alongside her was I never every time people would come to the show that I knew,
Mhm.
it was always like, you're great. What was it like working with Betsy? I'm like, fair, because she is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um, so I learned a lot about that show. And I think I opened up a whole other side of my instrument that I had not been tapped into for quite a long time. So I think it made me a more well-rounded artiste.
Well, speaking of artiste and all,
Yes.
you know, let's talk about Goddess at the Public Theater.
Oh yeah.
What was it like? Well, for me, I feel like the public theater, like no matter what it is, whatever it's gonna be I'm gonna curse now, a fucking great production
You know it. You
because
know it.
it's the public theater.
Exactly.
So, what was it like doing a show at the public theater with like, different music than you would normally have sung on stage?
Sure. I mean, I love that show. I really love that show. It was another just absolute joy because the audiences they loved that show. It was a party, especially when we would have like there were certain nights where there was just like younger audiences and stuff like that, and the way they would be so vocal, like they were watching a soap opera, like they would, like I would do something that was like a little bit shady. My character would do something a little shady, and they'd be like, and I love that. I know a lot of people don't like when audiences are super vocal like that, but I personally love it. I love when people,
I love
if
an
the story
audience
calls for it.
reaction. I
Yeah.
just don't love an audience reaction when they're talking throughout the entire fucking show.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like you
Yeah.
should, we don't need full sentences, but
Yeah.
like like a oh or a gasp or a, whatever. Like I'm here for that. But yeah, we don't need the running commentary.
Yeah.
Um, but that was wild. I learned how to fake play a saxophone for that. I got to glide on stage, which is another thing from my high school days. Gliding is like it's kind of like a pop locking dance move. I was in a we called it a turf crew, is what we called it when I was in high school. Which meant that we would just kind of battle different crews around the Bay Area. And so I learned how to dance doing that. And I got to do some of that in Goddess. I got to do a Kenyan accent. It was so fun. It was so fun. Um, and I just love working at the public. So I had a great time.
Yeah. Would you ever, I mean, because you're kind of known for musicals and like TV and film and all that, would you ever want to
Mhm.
tackle a play?
Yeah, for sure. I have a couple kind of in the works, I suppose you could say, that might be coming in next year. Uh I guess that's all I'll say about that in that regard. But yes, I guess I've been thinking about doing a play for a while. It's kind of funny that I haven't done one. I think it just hasn't come up
Yeah.
yet or something like that. But I would love to do a play. Girl from the North Country to me did feel like a play with music in some ways, just because
Again, it's Death of a Salesman as well.
exactly, exactly. And Connor McPherson is such a prolific playwright.
Yeah.
That was his
Mhm.
only musical. So the way it was structured felt very much like a play. So I think that's part of it too, is like it scratched the itch for me a little bit.
Mhm.
But no, I would love to do a straight play, and I think I probably will soon.
I'm curious about this because the public, and you've played Shakespeare, this is another cliche question, but I don't care. Would you ever do a Shakespeare show?
Yeah, totally. Totally. I mean, Sahim Ali, who directed and conceived Goddess, he and I are good friends. And, he just did Twelfth Night at Shakespeare in the Park. And before that, he did Fat Ham. And I mean, he's done a number of Shakespeare pieces. So I I have talked with him and said, maybe someday I'll do one with you. And he's like, yeah, that'd be great. And
Is
so
there a
we
particular
probably will.
yeah, is there a particular Shakespeare play you would want to do?
Mm. Oh man. Um, I don't know. I mean, I probably would just swing for the fences and do a big one like Othello or Macbeth or yeah, something like that. Something that Denzel Washington has done. I think
I
I'll go in
honestly
and do the Denzel Washington route.
I half expected you to be like Hamlet.
Sure. I feel like that one would be harder for me to. It's just I've seen that one so many times.
Yeah.
And it's just like how do you find something new with that? But yeah, I would do Hamlet.
I was in London for my first time 8 years ago, and they were doing a production of Hamlet, ironically with Andrew Scott. And
Oh, really?
I were like, "Oh, we're trying to figure out what play to see," and Hamlet was there. It's like I just cannot sit through another production of Hamlet. And little did you know, like 8 years later, I'm still kicking myself that we didn't see it because it had like all these incredible people in the show, and
Yeah,
Andrew Scott as Hamlet. Anyway, I
yeah.
digress.
Celebrities love Shakespeare.
They do,
They
but are
do.
they good at it? Depends on the person.
That's very true. That's very
Mhm.
true.
And some of them have done listen, I am not going to name names, but when I was in college, there was a play on Broadway with a very, very, very famous, like Academy Award winning actress, and she
Mm,
was terrible.
yeah. It's a very specific skill set.
Yeah.
It's a thing like you gotta train at least a little bit, you know what I mean? Or at least take the time to really like
Hmm.
understand how the meter works and how the language works and what like you got to know what you're saying. You can't just say the things and not know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, I think a lot of people they just
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm going to ask this, but I was just thinking of something that Christine Baranski was saying. Like, if you have like theater training, that's why it's good to be on a film set because you're used to kind of
Mm,
writing. But I want to see you on the Gilded Age now. I just thought
ha,
of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would do it.
I thought Christine Baranski, Gilded Age, Austin Scott.
Yeah, you
Yeah. You
know.
can be Dr.
Well,
Carmen's brother.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah.
there's two actors. Who's the other guy? Oh my gosh, I was blanking his name, but oh, Jordan Donica. Jordan
Yeah.
Donica's on it as well now.
Yeah. He's
And
from Kirkland. Land. Yeah.
is that right? I haven't
Yeah.
watched all of the new season, but I know my wife loves it. I would love to, I would totally be on that show. I mean, Danae Benton is a friend. So many of my friends, again, are on that show. But I have not auditioned for it. I think they do a lot of direct offers on that show, I want to say, or I'm not really sure, but no, I haven't really been in for that. And so I feel like now yeah, I would have to be one of their brothers or something. Otherwise, it's just like, wait a minute, there's too many light-skinned black men who are over 6 foot and have facial hair on this show. What are we doing?
Listen,
But
or a cousin,
our cousin,
whatever.
exactly. Could be,
Listen, listen. We manifest things on this podcast. We can manifest you on season 4 of The Gilded Age.
let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
do it. Speak it
Speaking of
into
like
existence.
things we want, any dream roles or projects you would like to do?
Yeah, I don't really. I am going to say that cliche thing, but it's so true. Like I don't think it's really been written yet. I'm in this stage right now. Goddess closed a couple months ago, and I am now getting to kind of go back to my like seed planting
Hmm.
era, and I'm doing a lot of readings, doing a lot of like new shows and development stuff, and I just love that. I love finding new characters, and creating new things. I don't think there's anything for the longest time. I was like, I want to play either Fiero and Wicked, or I want to play, who is it? Simba and Lion King. And like I think I'm at a place now where I'm like, sure, maybe I'd go back and do that at one point, but I'm kind of all about new work and new, you know, helping to build new characters from the ground up.
Yeah.
And I really love that. That's one of the reasons why I love theater so much. Not that you can't do that in TV and film, but there's something about the process of building theater and creating theater from the ground up where like as an actor you really get to
Hmm.
put your stamp and have a say in the formation of these things.
Do you have any, as I mentioned earlier, top going theater experiences?
We talked about this. Top going is new. It's a new phrase for me.
Listen, so is
Um,
White Buffalo. We learn new
that's so
here.
true. That's so true. We're making it all happen, just
Yeah,
like Fetch.
yeah.
Um, top going theater experiences. Um, I mean, I will give a recent one and just to hype up a friend, but it is the God's honest truth. I went to see Gypsy, and Audra, of course, was phenomenal. Everybody was phenomenal in that. But I thought Joy Woods did some really incredible work in Gypsy. And I am just so excited to see her blasting off. But watching her play June and just the arc that she created over the course of that show, I thought was phenomenal. So I'm going to put that out there, Joy Woods and Gypsy. I'm going to also say I saw Brian Stokes Mitchell. He wasn't even doing a show. He just it was like a cabaret in San Francisco when I was like 15. He came through and he did this cabaret. But I was so taken by the way that he could command a stage and by the way that the audience just listened to every word he said and hung on every word. And I think that was a point in my life where like I knew I liked theater and I had already been acting in TV and film and stuff like that, but I wasn't really sure. Theater still felt like this space for predominantly like white artists. And I didn't know that I saw a space for myself in the Broadway world at that time. But seeing him and seeing just how he could captivate an audience, I was like, oh my God, if he can do it, I could do it. Like there's definitely a space for that. And so I've told him this many times since, but he really was he and that performance, I think, was the reason why I ended up pursuing theater.
Yeah. So when you're on stage with your Tony,
Brian's for Brian Stokes.
Your wife, your family, Brian
Yes,
Stokes Mitchell.
yes, yes.
That's the trifecta that we
That's the
need for,
trifecta.
yeah, when you're on stage with that Tony
Yeah,
for a play.
yeah. For a play. Come on, manifest it.
For a
I love
play,
it. I
whatever
love
that
it.
play, or it could be a Shakespeare play. We're gonna get
Yes,
fancy.
yes. I'm
Yeah,
gonna as soon as I'm gonna get on the phone with my manager and say, listen, Allison said I have to do a play, and
yeah.
I have to do a Shakespeare play.
Well, it
So
doesn't
we
have to be
have to do this.
Shakespeare, but I mean,
Sure. But
I
but
just
maybe
thought of it because
both.
of the public theater. Yeah.
Yes.
Or it could be
Yes.
like a fat ham thing, you know?
There you go.
Or
Yeah.
it could
No.
be like fat O, like fat Othello.
Nice. TM.
Fat O!
Fado.
Yeah,
Listen,
what
it's
up? Yo, we're gonna make it fetch.
you're writing this right now in real time.
You're
It's
welcome.
amazing.
Thank you.
I am grateful.
You know
I'm
what? No
grateful.
chat GPT needed here.
Not at all. Not when
But
you come up with gems like Fado.
I'll tell you what, when you finally finish your degree,
Oh,
you're gonna send me a DM and be like, it's time to write Fat O and make
there you
fetch
go.
happen.
There you go.
It is our white buffalo.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look at you. Full circle. Wrapping it all up.
Well, we're gonna
Wow.
wrap it up with some Inside the Actor Studio questions. Are you ready?
Bring it on. I am ready.
All right. Let me get my James Lipton voice ready.
Lovely.
Austin Scott.
Yes.
What is your favorite word?
Wow. What is my favorite word?
Yes.
Um, huh. I don't, man, I'm just not going to think too hard about it. I'm going to say illustrious.
Ooh, I like that.
No, you know
Oh,
what? I take that back. I'm sorry.
okay.
That is a good word.
Okay.
No, it's voluptuous. That is my favorite word. There's something about it's just it sounds exactly like what it means. And it's just such a weighty word. Such a weighty word, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's very voluptuous of you to
It's a
say.
very voluptuous word. It's very voluptuous of you to say that. Thank you.
You're welcome. What is your least favorite word?
Oh, I mean, probably just like moist. I'm gonna just, yeah, I don't want to talk anymore about that.
We're gonna leave it
Or mayonnaise. I hate mayonnaise in general, and even the word
there.
is deeply upsetting to me. So either
What
one of
if
those.
it's the abridged mayo?
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't
What
like it.
turns you on?
What turns me on?
Not
Mayo.
mayonnaise.
Definitely not mayonnaise. Oh man. Spicy. Um, I don't know, just boring. Like just laughing and vibing and feeling seen.
Aw,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Aside from mayonnaise,
Uh-huh.
what turns you off?
Um, people who, I don't know, people who like gotcha moments. People who like will lead you down the garden path just so that they can make you look like an idiot.
I like how you use
Those,
an
I don't
accent
like
with
that.
that. I love that. Garden
Well,
path.
it's because I said garden path. I know, but somehow I became Southern. But well, that's because my dad's Southern. But garden path is actually from Love Island, UK. They use that a
Oh,
lot this past season. They talk about like, just lead me down the garden path.
there
So
we go. There's a different accent. Okay.
I've
It is time.
I've done a British accent in so many things, and that was a poor example of my British accent. But I swear I can do one for anyone out there who's trying to hire me.
He's listening. He can do all the accents. He
I
can do
swear.
French. He can do Australian, New Zealand.
Yes.
I'm making these up. Okay. Are you, this is, okay. This time has come.
Time's come.
What is your favorite curse word?
Ugh. Favorite curse word.
Hmm.
Hmm. So hard. I mean, is that just like what you use the most often, or is it no? It's got to be the one that is just like the
I
most.
don't think these questions are to think that deeply. It's
I
whatever
know.
you're feeling.
I'm gonna
I
say
have,
like syphilitic. Like you syphilitic
you
cow.
can't even do a real curse word. I don't want to curse up. I gotta use the word syphilis. That's right. At least I got a shit out of you at some point.
You did get a shit out of me. No, I mean, I don't know. I like the ones that aren't used much. Like, yeah, like syphilitic or you you trudgy. No, I ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
No, let's just say fuck. That's a good one.
Yeah. I love syphilitic though. I just remind me, I have a Shakespeare mug that's filled with Shakespeare
Yes,
quotes.
exactly. I have that too. I got it as one of my like Happy Trails presents.
Yeah.
I think that's where it came from. That's where I loved like just, these just like ancient, like hoity-toity uh curses. I love those.
Okay. What sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise do I love?
Yes.
Um this the sound of my wife eating potato chips.
What sound or noise do you hate?
The sound of mayonnaise sloshing in a
Which
tub.
literally gives me, I was gonna be like, is it somebody spreading mayonnaise on a piece of bread?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was
Or just
what was
like
in
the
my head.
when you're moving a spoon or something through it, it does that like that noise. Oh God, it's the worst. It's the
Just
absolute
so
worst.
any fans out there, do not send Austin any mayonnaise products.
Please no.
Anything.
Please
Okay.
don't. Please
What
do not.
what profession other than yours would you like to attempt? I mean, other than us writing Fat O.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Hmm.
A profession I would like to attempt. I would love to be a my boring answer is physical therapist. My mom is physical therapist, and I feel like
Hey, listen,
that
it's
would just be
there's
really
nothing
cool.
boring about that. It's whatever you
No,
want.
no, it's beautiful, but I also want to like I have like a snappy, like crazy thing. That's what the people want. But do I have it is the question? Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't have it. I want to be I want to be the person who trains sea lions at Disney World. I want to be that person because that feels like I don't know. I can imagine myself creating this like lifelong bond with a sea lion that no one else understands except for me. And then one day the sea lion passes away and like my life is irreparably changed. But I'll always remember those videos of me and the sea lion. This is like where my brain goes sometimes, but that would be fun.
You've just written your own Disney movie.
I sure have.
Yeah.
Look
No
at
chat,
that.
look at that. No chat GPT
Look
needed.
at that. No, and no brain going like, oh, but who's gonna buy it? Disney will buy it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're
What
welcome.
profession would you not like to do?
Oh, I don't wanna, I don't wanna be a public speaker. I don't want to be a politician. I don't want to do that.
You only want to play them on stage.
I only want to play them on stage. Yeah.
And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Ah, nice. Nice. You did. Yeah, that was good.
And
I hope that God sounds like that. Like it's less about him saying the words and more just about or them saying the words and more just about like I want God to just be cool and be like, yeah, I never wanted you to hate people.
yeah, like that'll do, pig. That'll do.
That'll do, pig.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Austin, thank you so much for coming on. It was
Thank you,
such
Allison.
a delight and a pleasure. And I'm very much looking forward to our Fat O collaboration,
Yeah,
where that is.
yeah.
You can stay on once we're done recording. Anything else you want to put out into the world for those listeners listening?
No, I think that's it. We just love on each other.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say because we need as much love as we can. So
Yeah.
love on each other.
Yeah. Go watch Clipped on Hulu. It's still there.
Yeah, do it.
And thank you so much for coming on again. And thanks,
Yeah,
y'all, for listening.
absolutely.